What can we do here? Yeah. So we're just going to wait and see what happens. Hello and welcome to the stream. We are just here on this beautiful island of Phangan, and it's a rainy day today. So we're kind of indoors. The rainy season is upon us, my friends. The rainy season is upon us. We're just going to see who shows up here today. It's always a little bit of a gamble. The hair is back to the coif. I'm going through hair growing out pains, wanting a transformation that I can't quite have at the moment. So I'm sure some of you understand. Let's see what happens. But it is a beautiful day here. Even though it is a rainy day, you know, I understand wanting to avoid, excuse me. I understand wanting to avoid the rainy season as a traveler. You only have a few weeks, you want the sun, you want great weather. But living here or staying on like longer than a few weeks, the rainy season is kind of special. It definitely has its moments where you can go a little bit cuckoo, for sure. I actually did get a little bit depressed during my second rainy season here. First rainy season was fantastic because I was new to Thailand and I lived on the ocean and I could see, you know, the horizon every day, even if the weather was bad, right? You see the ocean, you see the elements. It's just so much easier to get along with, mentally speaking. The second year, I think it was the third. Second year, I think was okay. I think it was the third year, third rainy season where I was more inland and removed, actually. I can't remember because time on the island as well is very like mysterious, the way that we move through time and the way that we move through seasons here. And it can kind of slip away from you for sure, as it is in this moment, as I'm trying to recollect. And during that particular rainy season, I lived inland in a beautiful neighborhood in the jungle, you know, surrounded by the environment. It was great, but it was also very depressing for me. I think there were other elements involved just in the cycle of life and kind of what was happening for me. But as soon as I moved back to a place where I had a view of the water and I have like a horizon line, it changed everything for me. So yes, I am one of those people that it isn't just like the sea view because the sea view like matters, you know, it like means that you've achieved something because you have a view of the ocean. It just feels amazing to have that. And I think that I could get on well in just about any size space that has that particular view. Welcome, welcome. If you want to say hello and let me know where you are joining me from, many blessings to you. We're just talking about life right now. They are in and they are out. So yeah, I understand wanting the good weather, the best weather whenever you're traveling. But living here, if you're living here for like a couple months at a time or you're a long-termer, there's also a lot of people that migrate from the island and they go up north. I've never done that journey because I've always been like working in the rainy season as well, legally working. And I don't know, I kind of like the winter that it provides because I am from the north, you know, the northern hemisphere, and I'm used to having that time of like the seasons, you know, fall and winter. So rainy season definitely feels a little bit like, oh, it's that moment. It's that opportunity to go within and work on different projects and, you know, take care of things in the house. And it can definitely stir a lot because you are inside quite a bit. And you can't, if it's sunny, then everyone just kind of runs to the sun, right? To follow the sun to get there. Get the vitamin D is, it's like so important. But yeah, I like being inside. Last year, I had a friend, she ended up subletting her house for a bit of that season before she left to travel. And so she had like 10 days or so where she stayed with me. And that was just like super fun because you're just hanging out and doing yoga together and watching movies and, you know, talking about life and this, that, and the other. So it can be a really great time to just kind of like hunker down and to go within and to go into a bit more of an internalized process, which sometimes when it's sunny all the time, you feel like you have to be out in it all the time. And right, and the sun is very like activating. So I need to be in the sun, I need to be out, I need to be doing. And it can be a little bit hard, I think, for a lot of people on this island to discipline themselves beyond their gym routine. Like there's a lot of people here that will definitely go to the gym. They're great at fitness. They're great in that like aspect of showing up. They're seeing the results. They're like feeling amazing. But also the gyms here are so seductive that you will hang out in the gym the whole day. And then that also becomes your community, which is fine, right? You meet great people. You have interesting conversations. You connect. You're like, you know, seeing these people day in and day out. So it becomes its own little like enclave. But it can be a little bit of a slippery slope as far as really moving the needle forward. And maybe that's what we're meant to talk about here today in this live stream, 7 minutes in, is moving the needle forward on life and recognizing perhaps the seasons of life where we have that opportunity to really shift ourselves forward. And the season of life doesn't need to just be like the actual seasons of life. We have seasons within us as we're moving through the various seasons of our life. And once we understand a little bit more about those cycles, then we're able to strategically push things forward that we want to push forward. Welcome to the chat. If you feel like saying hello and where you're from, I welcome correspondence here. So if you want to type anything in, any questions that you have about anything that I can bring light to, let me know. Thank you for being here. So we just kind of came to this place in the conversation about pushing the needle forward. Hello and welcome. Thanks for saying hi. I hope you're doing well out there in the world. There's a review. Yeah, Morbid Studio. So you have a very low level consciousness and your energy is stuck in your root chakra. It's not really elevating. So your whole, you know, what you see is all very like hedonistic, sexual, right? You're like, hello, Leah. Oh, well, thank you, Leah. I love you very much. Welcome, welcome. Welcome. And now that is an energy field that is much higher, right? That's like a much higher vibration than show us blah, blah, blah from Morbid Studio. So morbid, yeah, exactly. I know I'm correct. So, you know, I don't take any offense, at least in the first go around. So you're safe here. But, you know, it's time for us on the planet to really look at our consciousness and to look at what we create and why we create the things that we create. And it is very true, right? As above, so below, right? As without, so within. So if you want like harmony, I watch you with love. You are very beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, even it's just, we want to create the world around us, then we need to harmonize with that within. And we were talking about this today in my yoga class, which you're all welcome to attend these classes. The alignment, And right, sometimes we just think the alignment in yoga is like, oh, I need to like come into this perfect alignment. And why we're working on aligning that physical structure is to get the energy moving so that our consciousness can align with our heart. And our heart can move into our consciousness, and we don't have to objectify the world around us. You don't have to objectify women. You don't have to objectify men. You can be in the presence of someone really beautiful. You can be turned on by them even, but you don't have to necessarily like say the things that maybe you don't need to say. And you can channel, right? You can channel that energy towards a higher frequency. Thank you. It's on the left channel, which my understanding is better than the right channel, right? It is the feminine channel, the inward flow. So moving the needle forward, right? Like having routine. I think we're all adults here, no need to beat around the bush. It's not like we got forever. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. You're an adult, so you can just kind of do whatever you want. You don't need to have any type of etiquette. You can just take what you want. You can eat what you want. You can live how you want. You can hurt people the way that you want. You can take advantage the way you want because you are an adult. Is that what you're saying to me? Because an adult, right, like a real adult, a real man, a real woman is going to have a sense of etiquette and is going to have a sense of cause and effect, right? You can want whatever you want in life. You can go after whatever you want to go after in life. Like we have that right as a human being to like get after it, go for the thing that you want to go for if that's what you want. But there's a certain way that we move those chess pieces in order to get what we want. My brother Mia says she loves you very much. I also love you very much. You are very beautiful. Your movements are very cool. Thank you. I think you're full of assumptions. We all know about what assumptions make us, but no, I have no modesty. I mean, I can only assume based on what you have shared with me, which is literally show me them. Like that's what you're giving. So, I don't have to dig much deeper than what you have presented here today, which is not a lot. There's not a lot of depth. There's not a lot of texture. There's not a lot of intelligence. And sure, I can be an ass assuming, but this is what you're giving. So you need to sit with what you are actually giving. You're busy thinking about life like a chess game, but I've already won. Yeah. So that's funny because you're here asking someone for something that you don't have, and yet you've won. But you're hopping on a live stream to ask a woman something that you don't have, and I think you just left because he couldn't handle it. So that's so fun. Okay, look at your face all the time. You're very beautiful. I admire you. What is your name? My name is Amanda. Thank you for admiring my face and my beauty. I appreciate that. That is a nice compliment. Let's talk about moving the needle forward, shall we? So that guy got scared and ran away because like that's what happens when you show yourself in that way from like such a lack of intelligence, and then somebody comes at you to have a conversation to kind of break it down, like their whole mind just completely crumbled and dissolved, right? It's like their whole foundation, because they're not even standing on a foundation. They're standing on some idea of, right, some perception of how to behave in the world. And it didn't work. And it doesn't work. And the thing is that more and more people, women, men, everyone, are waking up to this. And right, it's getting difficult for that energy that is such a low vibration to like stay alive. Another way to think about this is like when you do a cleanse and you start to have those cravings, right, for like sugar or sweet or whatever it is. it's like this, what do they say? Like the parasites, let's say, quote unquote parasites, right? It's like parasites are also like just consciousness. They don't have to be like an actual, worm inside your body. It's like something, it's like reaching for, right? It wants to feed off of that negative thing. And that's that comment. Thank you. That is that type of comment, and that type of behavior is just the lower consciousness of the earth that hops into a live stream to try to like feed off of something very, very negative. But when your consciousness is higher and you're more balanced in your system and you're more balanced in your nervous system, you don't get triggered by that, right? Like you saw in this interaction, I'm not triggered by it. I'm able to see it and then to shift it and to call it out and to look at it. And then that aggregate, right, that like thing that wants to feed off the negativity, it just has to go away. It wants to say what it wants to say and pout and fight and like try to think that it's like, the elite thing, and it like completely runs away, it withers, it dies eventually, unless it finds someone else to feed off of. And that is essentially the process of transcendence. Right? Because we're all going to have feelings that are negative, that make us uncomfortable, or that will sabotage us in the long run. So we recognize like our anger. Let's just take anger. We all get angry about some things in life, right? We experience that. It's a very natural human emotion, this anger. So as someone on a path of consciousness, we are not trying to never feel anger, right? Oh no, I'll never get angry again. I'm the most peaceful person. Like, no, that's not happening. We are trying to understand that we have the impulse of anger, or that anger is currently moving through my system, and how am I going to work with that anger? Am I going to just like come online and troll people and like create a lot of destruction and chaos and, this kind of a thing? Or thank you so much for being here. Thank you. And if you are in the chat, if you want to say hello, we welcome your hellos. We welcome you into the live stream situation that we have happening here on this rainy day, talking about lots of fun stuff. Thank you for the love. So right now we're talking about transcending the lower intelligence, right? The lower emotions, bringing ourselves into a place where we are not controlled by that. So we just had somebody jump on the stream that's like saying something very sexual, It's like, wow, you really need to get that under control, right? Like get it under control. Just because you are behind a screen, right? Behind a keyboard. And it's the same with your anger. It's the same with like the hostile things that are being said across the internet to all types of people, right? Like we can say these like things because we're not really here. And all that does is just continually perpetuate the parasites and the parasitic nature of your consciousness. Parasitic nature of consciousness. So our job, right, as a yogi, as a meditator, I'm trying to train myself to observe the impulse, of when that starts to come into play. And it comes into play for all of us, right? We all have those emotions. That's part of life. We have emotions, we have feelings, we feel anger, we feel lust, we feel greedy, we feel desire. We have all of this. So it's not about never feeling any of those feelings. It is about getting that perspective, raising the vibration just high enough that I can see that it's there lurking in the shadows. And if I can see that it's lurking in the shadows, I can start to do work with the shadow, right? Which is where all of this like shadow work consciousness comes in, of just trying to understand, right? The part of me that is not fully forward facing and integrated, there's some shadow behind me that I need to every once in a while go into and cleanse and clear. So what that might look like, let's look at this anger example. You know, if you're in a position in life and you're never allowed to express your anger, and you are seeing things, experiencing things that make you really angry, right? That's like, oh, it's really irking me. Like, how do you then go into that? Well, one, you need a safe space, and you probably need a guide to help you move in and really confront the fact that you do feel angry. Because a lot of times with anger, we like to pretend that we're not angry and like, oh, I don't ever get angry. I'm not an angry person. It's like, no, we're all kind of freaking angry. Like, there's a lot to be angry about. There's a lot of injustice happening all around us. And, you know, whether it's personally affecting us or it's the things that we see and we see that it's out of bad, you know, like we all go through that. So one example, one way of maybe going into that, like for me, drumming is like so helpful for anger. Another friend of mine, she needs to do really aggressive, she was just telling me the other night, she needs to do like really aggressive type of workouts like boxing and, you know, high intensity. She's like, I need that to just like get it all out of my system. Drumming for me, like that, and singing and like moving sound into it is very successful for me to bring all of that out and then to orient it in a much more positive direction. And when we don't have a practice of that, when we're not confronting that, I think that's where you see a lot of these really horrifying acts that happen on the planet. Right? You see these like explosions of anger being taken out on very innocent people, and, you know, being just like so fed up that it just like boils, and then it turns to violence, it turns to destruction. And when we look at anger, think about the fire that is behind anger. You can burn down a whole city, right? You can burn down a whole city, and you can also heat an entire home, an entire village. You can bring light through that fire. Like the fire element is so sacred. So we're trying to understand how to work with the element, how to transcend the pull, the destructive pull, and how to move us towards a constructive path, the pull and the path forward, right? Pulling back into destruction, the path forward into peace, the path forward into creativity. That's why there's so much music from different eras where you're like, oh my God, this music is amazing. And it's just like rage, you know, like yelling, crying, you know, all of that emotional movement that happens, right? That's like that artist, that band is like moving that, and you as a participant in it are having a catharsis. And the only way that that ever becomes negative is if it keeps you in a mindset of like, if it just like keeps you angry, then no, we want to process our anger through it. We want to process the emotion. You don't want to listen to music that like keeps you depressed. And I definitely had to weed that out at a certain moment in life. I was like, this music is making me sad, and it's like really kind of twisting me up. Even though the music is beautiful, it's like such incredible music, which is why I want to listen to it again and again and again. I started to recognize that the vibrational frequency and what the artist was speaking to was like constantly putting me in a state where I would be feeling that. I was like, actually, I'm confused. This isn't good. I need to like adjust. So that is consciousness right there, right? Recognizing it, recognize the emotion, recognize how to, we're coming back to like moving the needle forward. And, you know, how do I move the needle forward on my own consciousness? How do I rise above? And then how do I go in and like really integrate? And that's very helpful when you're having issues with someone, when you're in a relationship that is very tricky, right? Or somebody has done something to you that it's like a betrayal. Ooh, betrayal. Like there is nothing like a betrayal to really stoke the fires. And that is when you have the most like egregious snap back fighting. when somebody feels very betrayed. And that's a big one for sure. So that takes a lot of presence. It takes a lot of like breath, being able to sit in that discomfort, being able to sit in the debilitating rage, right? Being debilitated by how upset you feel that somebody did that thing and crossed that line and crossed that boundary. And definitely on the other side of that is probably going to be violence. Like it gets to that point and we don't want that. Right? Like how can we move it? How can I move it in a more constructive way? Because you find yourself in a place of violence and being violent, the chances are you are the one that is going to suffer. So you're already suffering, and now you take this action and it causes you even more suffering. Like that is not the life that you have come here to live. So that requires a very intense discipline of your emotions. It requires a very good high hygiene of your spirit, like making sure everything is very clean and very organized so that if that happens, you're not triggered to just ruin your life because of your emotions, which, you know, even my teacher said to me one time regarding anger, he was like, even when you have the right to feel that way, there are certain things, right, that if you behave in that manner, like the doors will not open for you. Many doors will close if you behave in that way, even though you have the right, even though it's justified. And that is very difficult because we all want justice, you know, and we want to see the other person like, you know, get the thing because they betrayed me and like, I want justice. And it might take you lifetimes to get that justice. But the real test is what you do in this lifetime. And how do you want to create the world around you? Especially, like we were saying in class today, we have the privilege to practice. We have the privilege to meditate. We have the privilege of time. We have the privilege of resources. Use it. Use it. Even if it is not me. Welcome. Hi. Even if it is not me that is teaching you yoga, meditation, breathwork, the spirit, all of that, find your person. You have a privilege to sit and meditate. You have a privilege to practice yoga. You have a privilege to do breath work. You have the privilege to access all of these things. Don't sleep on it. It is not the time to sleep on these things that can deeply, deeply empower you and deeply empower your spirit and deeply empower your family and your communities and so on and so forth. So thank you so much for being here on the live. I am just testing the waters. Let me know if you have any comments, questions, anything you want to know, and I'll put that into the next one. Thank you so much for being here. Wishing you all a very beautiful and blessed day. Thank you.